Welcome to Patchwerk for the People, a dynamic podcast series by Patchwerk Recording Studios and the Democracy Center of Cobb County, Georgia. Join us weekly for essential discussions on pre-primary topics that we believe are crucial for shaping the upcoming elections. Tune in for insights that matter as we journey from May to November. Your voice counts. Let's make a difference together. All right, hey, how you doing? My name is Curtis Daniel III. I'm one of the two owners of Patchwerk Recording Studios. This year, Patchwerk will be 29 years old in July, and I'm sitting here with three cool gentlemen where we're going to have a conversation about the importance of engaging or not engaging in civil processes. And so if you guys can take a second, just go all the way down from the left to the right and start with Carlos, just kind of introducing yourself and tell the people a little bit about who you are and what you do. I think that would be cool.
Cool. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Carlos Searcy. I am a retired Georgia State Trooper. I worked for the Georgia State Patrol for 26 years. I'm also a life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So I think this is an important conversation to have. You know, why is there so much voter apathy?
Good morning, everyone. I am Jaden Williams. I am a rising senior at the exceptional Clark Atlanta University, a life member of the NAACP, community advocate representing the South Metro area of Georgia.
And top of the top, my name is Devontae Jennings. I'm a proud member of James Earl AC Lodge number 600, 27 years old, was a recently non-engaged voter, and now a very involved political advocate.
All right, and then one thing I wanted to, before we get started, is just kind of get you guys' opinion, just hearing the introduction, and I don't know how well everyone knows each other, but I guess first, Carlos, like who do you think that when we have this conversation, we'll kind of tune in and hear your message coming from you? Because just me hearing what everybody does, it seems like it's a vast background and mix of different gentlemen up here. And so I know when I talk, I know who I'm going to be talking to, a particular people, you know, maybe people that's into hip hop, listening to music, still going out, graduated from school, some in the street. But with your background and the message that you're going to talk about, who do you think that it'll kind of resonate with?
Good question, Curtis. I think, the age group, I'm 48, so I will say my age, I'm 48. So I think that age, your middle class, working, young black males, and also I think from around probably, I would say 40 to maybe about 50, 55, around the age group. Those are the people we would like to target and just see why they are, that's kind of that lull why they're not excited.
But I'm saying, like, in your opinion, from say like the language that you're going to speak,
right?
Who's your message going to kind of like hit home with? If I'm talking to people that's graduated from college that kind of work, just from the way that you're going to deliver your message, who, in your opinion, you think will kind of really hear? Because my thing is, I think that, hearing it, we're in a non-common facility. We're in a recording studio. We're not at a town hall. Some of us dressed up, some of us not. And I think that Monica kind of put us together so that we can kind of deliver our message in our own language to different people. So I'm just trying to just nail in, like, when you talk, who do you think who's your message going to resonate with?
I hope everybody, to be honest. I mean, because what we say here today, each one of us, what we say, hopefully someone that hears us can take something from what each one of us says. So, after we record, after this, they hear it, then we'll know. But hopefully, the working class person, hopefully they will, what I say will resonate with them.
Gotcha. All right, Jaden.
I'm in the 20s bracket, so I'm rooting for the people that have probably just graduated from college, going back even further down to our early voters, so people that are just turning 17, 18, those that are in school, or people that are just inactive, but we know they're in the streets. We know they can actually do it. We know they have the time. So I'm looking at the bracket of like 18 to maybe 25, 30.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then I guess I would more so say people that were just like me at one time, didn't believe in the system, thought things were rigged against us, and just kind of, for lack of a better words, ignorant towards what the system is and how it works, and just touching people that were like me at one point and just really don't believe in the system hopefully I can at least educate you a little bit and you hear from somebody that just was like you.
And so for me, my hopes is that, one of the reasons I was excited about doing it here in the studio, I was telling Monica that I think that, sometime the message got to be delivered from the place where people are comfortable going. So we're in here, we deal with a lot of people in the streets. We deal with a lot of rappers, a lot of entertainers, people in the film industry. And a lot of the people that come to the studio are sort of like gig workers, and they're not plugged into the corporate type thing. And so they may not go to town halls or go to town hall settings. And a lot of them kind of have a pessimistic attitude, and they think that if a certain person does one thing that it benefits them. So I'm hoping that our clients that come here to the studio and that listen to this music will kind of get a message from my perspective.
Agreed.
So Carlos, you got it.
All right, sounds good. And that's a good point, Curtis, you made. So I think it's important because a lot of people are not excited about this election. This is a presidential election year. A lot of people are not excited about, either candidate. So what is important is that people know there are other issues on the ballot, right? And I think those issues down ballot, the local elections, and I always say all elections are local. And some people say, well, what do you mean by all elections are local? There are things on the ballot that will be down at the bottom, referendums, state court judges, your sheriff, county commission, city council people, all those elections that are down ballot. I think those people probably will excite people. Hopefully they will excite people and get them to come out, because as we've heard, people are not excited about the presidential election that's taking place in November. But some elections will be decided in May. So it's important that we let people know what is on the ballot, and it's important that they look at these races because, again, your judges, some of us may have family members that may be put in front of some of these judges. We may have to go in front of some of these. So you want to know who these people are because they're going to represent you, right? So presidential election, that's federal government. So what they do at the top and at the federal government may take a while to trickle down to some of us. So the local things and the things at the bottom of the ballot, it's important that we know what they are. It's important that we go vote for them because they will affect us quicker and sooner than what happens at the top. So I think that's why we need to push this information out. There's a lot of voter apathy, again, about the presidential election and not going out, but you still need to go vote for other things.
I'm learned something. I just listening to you, and I wrote down these two words: excited and motivated. And just as I've been voting since I've been able to vote, but I've always wondered why people feel like people need to be excited and motivated to go vote. It seemed like just something that you should do. But just listening to you, I was like, man, it's like you kind of hear, or all the money seems to be spent on the big federal stuff, so people feel like that doesn't affect them. But it seems like if people could have a more direct message on the local stuff about how, because it seemed like, I guess, to me, what seems like will get people excited and motivated is if it would affect their life. You know what I mean? But how do you feel like it's so far that it don't matter who the president is, that it don't affect them? So how do you communicate to people that this is going to affect your daily life? Because people be like, it doesn't matter who the president is, it's going to be the same for me.
And a lot of people think like that. You're absolutely right. Well, that's not going to affect me. And that's why some people don't go vote. Right. I've heard it. We've engaged and talked to people, and the question was earlier to engage or not engage. So that's what some people have said. Well, they're going to do what they want to do. You probably have heard that. It don't matter if I go vote or not. People are going to do what they want to. But I think, too, you need an exciting candidate. When we think about when President Obama ran the first time, there was excitement everywhere. People were excited. Everybody that hadn't voted, they were out voting, right? They were excited. They wanted to get out and vote. But we haven't seen that, in a while. When we look at the 2020 election, 2022, in 2020, there was like 60% of voter turnout in that November 2020 election. 60% of registered black voters, anyway, went out and voted. Only 60%. In 2022, it was only 45% of all black registered voters went in November 2022. Only 45%, out of 100. So there's no excitement So, and I think when people look at the top of the ticket, they were not excited about those candidates, so they just didn't go vote. So we got to tell them there's other things that you can get excited about and other things that are going to affect you quicker and sooner than what happens. So that's when, when I talk about the excitement and, people getting out to vote, that's why, looking at those numbers from the previous years, there just hadn't been voter turnout.
Cool. Jaden?
I kind of want to piggyback off of what Carlos kind of stated. There is no motivation for us to go vote. There is nothing that we see that's really sparking our eye. But looking at it from a perspective for a young person, we got to remember this country was built by young people. Now, I'm not saying they were 18, 16, but they were in their mid-30s, early 20s, late 20s. So when we kind of exclude young people and a new direction and a new generation, a new thought process from governance at whole, and we can think about people at whole, we're losing the thought of governing the body, because we don't have efficient and effective leadership that's actually representing all people across the country, or even in a local area. So when he said local government matters more, it does. If, let's say, mayor and council increase your taxes, you'll see that before you see the increase at a national level. So we got to push the engagement of hope. And when he said President Obama, I think that was a great analogy, because when President Obama ran, he pushed yes, we can. He gave us a spirit of hope for a new country. He gave us a spirit of change. But now we kind of see, well, I've done it before, let's do it again. Sometimes we also have to realize that when we're governing, we're looking at how we can change our community and benefit our community. But then we also have to realize it's a business at the same time. So when we're looking at candidates, we have to see, well, are they looking at it from a business standpoint, or are we looking at it from a producing and efficient community?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I was thinking about, I went to school on a football scholarship, right? I went to Michigan State. And one of the places I always dreamed about going to, and I had the opportunity to go there, was the University of Oregon way back in '89. And the reason I wanted to go there was because I liked the duck, the mascot. And so when I think about now, like people, when you get out of high school, you're 17 or 18, and you're trying to make a major decision on where you go to school, and these 18-year-olds are making decisions on, I like the uniforms, I like the logo, I like the duck. They ain't worried about the education and stuff like that. So when I think about, like when you say people got excited for Obama, I think that one of the reasons they got excited for him because he was doing stuff that was cool, right? So young people kind of get motivated by different things than older people get motivated by. So if all these people, what motivates or what looks cool to an older person, and if they belittle what looks cool or what younger people are concerned about, there's a disconnect. And the disconnect is what's causing the lack of motivation to get out there and do something. So it's like, in my mind, when you keep saying that, the people are not excited, they're not motivated, what can be done? Like I guess that's the result of what it is, but are the people in place that are trying to motivate and excite these people doing anything new and different and innovative to try to get these people out to do it? Or do they be like, hey, I don't want to alienate the 40% of the people that's doing it by trying to do something cool? I was thinking about if we had candidates here, in my mind, I want to put them in the vocal booth. But will they say, I don't want to do that because I don't want to offend anybody? I want to have them walk down the hall and pull a plaque off the wall and tell me why you like this Outkast record and what was you doing when this was out. And in my mind, that's going to connect to these younger people that are disengaged, as opposed to trying to get the young people not going to come to the town hall. They're not going to go to these meetings. They're not going to watch the Zoom stuff. So in my mind, how do you make people think that doing cool stuff or reaching these young people where they're at is important and is valid?
So I agree with part of your statement, and I disagree with the other half.
Okay.
So I'm going to break it down. We look at the cool stuff, right? And that was a great analogy in how you said you want to go to Oregon because of the duck. I think this generation, or my generation rather, we look at the cool stuff, but then we're like, what else comes with the cool stuff? And just like I was telling Carlos, Devontae, Monty,
let me ask you this, but if there's no cool stuff, do you even look at it?
That's what I'm about to get to.
Okay.
So
All right.
if there's no cool stuff or no inspiration behind it, what we have to look at is what's currently being taken away from us, what's being stripped away, what are their goals. And most of the time, I'll be honest, my generation doesn't look just at the cool stuff. We actually look at what's affecting us. And just like I told someone on another podcast, I feel like this generation is more vocal than the last generation. I think it went from Martin and Malcolm X's generation, skipped the next generation, and now it's come straight to us. So we're more vocal, and I think it's more so, it's not about protesting for us. It's not about going to town halls. It's about looking at how we can do direct action. And so I think when we have this conversation, I don't think it's kind of talking about how we can get them to forums. It's how we can make sure that the direct action they're taking is being effective. For example, direct action in voting, direct action in making sure they know who their representatives are, making sure they know how they can communicate with the representatives to push said bills and stuff like that. Even at a local level, making sure they elect local officers who can push the community goals. For example, a goal to widen your road. You want a sidewalk in your community. Small goals are like big victories for certain people. So I don't think the generation is just solely looking at cool stuff, but we're looking at how we can be affected and benefited directly.
Can I touch on the cool part? Because I think what we're labeling as cool is what we're getting back to, that is just the youth portion. And I think somebody spoke on it just now, like there is no representation of people that you're trying to reach in these places. So, people like myself with kinky locks, tattoos, we see and start to look at these, when you look at politics more specifically, you're like, well, I don't fit into that. They don't accept me. So my voice isn't heard in that, compared to where we put people in leadership and put people in roles that look like that, wear their nails like that, and they see themselves and they're like, this is why I am now motivated and excited to do this, instead of let's make sure you got a clean haircut. You of course want to look presentable, but we got to stop putting a box on what it looks like to be politically involved and a political leader, and start making it broader to the people you're trying to reach. Everyone doesn't have a college degree. Most people aren't going to go to college, especially in this generation now. Most people are taking the internet route. There's so many trades you can do. We have to start allowing people into the spaces that you're trying to target during election time and let them hold a seat as well. So I think that is partial what we call like the cool.
And let me add this, Devontae. Just like what you just said, 1,000% right on point, right? But politics is the number one category that talks about diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it's the number one category that does not practice it. So that's a big statement.
Facts.
Yeah, and I was just going to add to that. I think candidates, period, have to meet people where they are. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about coming into the studio, Curtis, I think that's what they have to do. If it takes going into the studio, let me do it. I got to reach people where they are. I can't stay back and put everybody into a box or think that everybody's going to be like me. If I want to reach, and every vote counts, and if I want those votes, I'm going to go where they are. And I hate to keep using President Obama, but when he was president, he put, I think he put Five Guys on the map. He went into Five Guys and like, burgers and hot dogs, whatever. People started going to Five Guys.
That's a great example.
But really, you've got to go where people are, no matter what it is, especially if you want their vote. You can't take it for granted. I always, say my motto is take nothing for granted.
So then do you feel like people only come to those places when they want the vote? And then, or as a young person, do you be like, man, I ain't seen you all year.
Facts.
They shouldn't.
Does that even make it worse? Like, is it disingenuous or what?
Well, what you do once you elect those people, if you have voted for them, you hold their feet to the fire.
That's right.
You call them. We can do that. And that's something else we got to push out to people is they represent you. If you got my vote, I'm going to call you. I'm going to go on the internet, do my research. I'll come visit you at your office if I have to. But we don't hold people to the fire.
Yeah, I was just wondering how I make them feel. Like, is it almost disingenuous? You'd be like, man, this dude coming over here today and he ain't been out here forever.
I 1,000% agree. And you've seen it working on the ground too. It's like you go to these lower income areas and certain, I won't say everyone does, but certain people only go to these communities when it's election time. And I think not you, but people are kind of playing these people for stupid. Like, they're not recognizing, dang, every 4 years I see you, you always make these promises and then nothing ever comes to it. And then
so that contributes to the pessimistic attitude.
It does, because also a lot of people don't have the privilege and the time to stay up to, like, I'm privileged enough to be able to stay in tune, to be able to contact my life is set up to where I can do that. But some people are single mothers, single fathers, raising 3 or 4 kids, working graveyard, getting
So it's almost like you saying if then, or you're saying like, if I come out and vote for you, you promising me you're going to do all this stuff, then I do it and you don't do it. And then now people like, I ain't going back to vote no more. Because y'all just be lying. Like, y'all came out here, you told me you was going to do. So, I mean, is that the attitude that you kind of see it at? Like,
that's what I see.
I see it all the time. I think especially this year, 2024, it's a big year where we're seeing a lot of that happening now, especially in the state of Georgia, because all eyes are on Georgia, not even just at a local level, at a state and a national, federal level. So, I mean, we of course we're going to see it, but the question is, as a state and as a community, are we going to keep them accountable with their policies, or are we going to ask them to stop giving us promises and set minor goals so we can constantly rechange short-term goals to make sure we're being productive candidates?
So the remedy would be to vote somebody in there that's going to keep their word, as opposed to be like, I voted somebody in there, they didn't do nothing, now I'm not going to vote anymore. You shouldn't just give up, right?
I don't believe every politician would just come in and we would just automatically be like, yes. But it's our goal to not just vote for them. Just like Carlos said, it's our job to vote for them and make sure we're constantly keeping them accountable of what they're doing in these said positions. Mm-hmm. Just like we put them in, it's just how we'll take them out.
But I'm saying, it seems like the reaction that people are taking when they don't, or they're not doing what they're supposed to do, is like, well, I ain't voting no more. Not like, okay, well, we picked the wrong one, I'm gonna go get more people and vote. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that is creating, and then it's almost like negative campaigning where the opponent is trying to say, don't vote for that person because last time they said they was gonna do this. And so it seemed like it's a message out there subconsciously trying to make people feel like they're helpless. So don't even go vote. Don't even participate.
That's really good. And this is good that we're doing this. I tell you, it's so much to unpack. And it's so much that the regular person doesn't know how it works. So you can say, well, this person said they were going to do this in their campaign speech or in their slogan. They said they were going to do this. But once they get elected, there's a process. I worked at the state capitol for 4 years, and I saw how it works. So you have a state representative, state senator that's there, but you have lobbyists that come in probably with a bill already written out. They come in and give it to that senator, that representative, like, hey, we really want you to push this. We want you all to vote on this and pass it. And, that senator representative say, hey, I authored this bill. They really didn't. And when they get in, they got to make deals with their counterparts to get that bill passed. So they may have told you they were running on one particular thing and going to do a certain thing if they got elected, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, once they got in, yeah, they may try to, but if you not in the political clout, if you don't know certain people, you're new, when you get there, you got to make deals and barter and all this stuff to get your bill passed. So, yeah, I may have told you I was going to do something, but it may take me a year or two to get it done. So I'm trying to get it done, but it may take a while because the process, I just can't go in and say, hey, y'all go do everything I said do. It doesn't work that way. So, yeah, some people may get upset, be like, hey, you said you're going to do this. I'm not going to vote for you next time. So we got to understand the process. So that's why I say this is good, because we're trying to educate the people on how it actually works. And we can't just sit back. People marched and died and bled for us to have the right to go vote. And we get upset because things don't go our way and say we're not going to go vote. Our democracy is at stake.
See, that's why I was saying it ain't like people say I'm not going to vote for you next time. They just don't participate.
They don't participate, and we're seeing that now. Yeah. We're seeing that now in Michigan, where they had over 20-something thousand people that just didn't pick anybody when they went to the ballot. They just didn't pick anybody. So when you have that voter apathy, we're putting a lot of other things at stake, all because we are upset or we didn't get what we want and we don't go vote. We have got to participate in the process. And it may not work for us or the way we think it should, but that's why we get involved. That's why we're doing things like this.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, the State House really showed me it's not just a magic wand. It's so gray. People think it's so black and white. Like, I'm going to do this. We're going to walk in. We're going to do it. Like you said, you got the lobbyists. You got working across the aisle. If your party or your caucus isn't in the majority and you're in the minority, now you got to start working to get just a couple extra people on this side. Is the bill going to make it out of committee? What does committee mean? How does a bill make it to committee? Like, these are things that I learned just having to work with a representative that I didn't know, sitting in a committee meeting and be like, oh, these type of bills come to these places. Who is sitting in these, it's not just representatives, but what representatives are in Judy non-civil, talking about SB 63 and all these type of things. So I think once we start to learn the process for real, how it really goes, we'll give candidates a little bit more grace when it takes them 4 or 5 years. Now, also pay attention to the website. Are they dropping legislation? Are they dropping resolutions? You can sit in the house all day writing resolutions, recognizing Patchwerk Studios for being an amazing studio, recognizing ex-artists and all that. But if you've been there 8-10 years and you ain't got one HB nothing, no SB nothing, it's time to go.
Yeah. And that's good too. And I think also, Curtis, like you said, how do we reach people that will never even engage in the process, never care anything about a bill or anything, but those are still the people that we want to reach and that we want to go vote. So I think it's incumbent upon the representatives, the senators, those people that we've elected, even at your local levels, your county commissioners, your court judges, your sheriffs, all those people still have to go out in the community, even when it's not election season and an election year. You go out, you have town halls, or you go to these communities that you wouldn't otherwise go to. You have days where you sit down and you talk to people and explain to them, hey, I know I ran on this particular thing, but I'm still working on it. It's taking me a little bit longer than I thought. But you go in and you have these Saturdays with your state rep, or you have these different days where you go in and you sit down and you explain the process to people that may not understand it, that may not want to come to the Capitol, that may not want to even see a courtroom or a courthouse. You go out to the people. You still got to meet them where they are. And I'll stick by that. If you've been elected, to whom much is given, much is required. You got to go out and reach your constituents and let them know, hey, I'm working for you. So that then when election year come around, they'll be like, okay, I've been seeing them in the community. I've been seeing her in the community. She's been doing things. I don't mind voting for them now.
In my mind, I be thinking, like I said, look, man, if I come to your job, the expectation is I'm going to dress up and wear a suit and look nice. So I be feeling like if you come into our place, that you need to take that suit off. You know what I mean? And I'm just telling you my mindset. Right. I'm like, look, man, when I got to go to court or I got to go to City Hall or something, or I got to go to some function, the expectation is that I'm going to dress or play the part of what facility or venue that I'm going to. Right. And I think it's cool to see these officials dressed regular. Mm-hmm. Hey, what's the last song that you played in your car? You know what I mean? Unpolitical and stuff. And I think that ties you into the community. So even when you come, sometimes I might see somebody and I'd be like, he ain't even got no facial hair. I don't trust him. Ouch. He got his shirt tucked in on Friday night, man. He got these shoes on. I've never seen him as a regular person. And I think people miss opportunities on that. It's like, man, if you know you going to the studio or the club or whatever, man, take the tie off, take the jacket off. And like you said, meet people where they are, because the people that are coming to you, you expect them to tuck their shirt in and put a jacket on when they come to your office.
Well, don't not trust them because of the facial hair.
I'm joking.
I'm about to say, dang, man.
When I worked, it was part of my job that we couldn't have facial hair. But as soon as I retired, now you see I got the full thing. So.
I totally agree, though, especially if you certain communities we're trying to reach have been like in the system. Yeah. When you come up to them wearing a suit and all they think is they remember when they was sitting in with their co-defendants and, the prosecute, you don't know what kind of things are triggering people. So I see what you're coming from with that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it just makes you more human. And, and like I said, that was why I was excited. I got a whole little scripts of different things that we want to do, but I think that they're cool. And I think that it would be picked up and it'll go out on social media and people would engage with it. But the concern is the candidate or the person going to want to kind of come out of character and reveal their part of their real self to people. And, and so like that's kind of like our angle and what we want to bring to the table this year is just kind of stripping them down and being like, they got shows where people go on there and they eat hot wings and they tell stories. You know what I mean? Well, I want to put them, go in the booth, put some headphones on. You ain't got to spit your favorite verse. Yeah. I think it'll be cool to do something like that.
And I think they will. I think some of them will. Okay. You reach them and tell them, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we're trying to do. And I mean, because they're regular people, and again, I come from that side. Like I said, I was a state trooper. I put that uniform on, but man, I would rush home and take it off so I could be regular folk, know. And because you have a life outside of politics, outside of the office, outside of the job that you do. And again, if you want to reach people where they are, you got to, participate in what regular folk participate in. And I think some will do that and still can, maintain a little civility,
Mm-hmm. All right. So if we wrapping up, our whole theme was to engage or not to engage. And so if each person had like a closing statement of, why it's important to even participate, not telling anybody what to do, but why is it so crucial or important to get people to participate, to engage? So the engagement is the plug in, pay attention, and then hopefully if you're engaged, you'll be motivated to take action. Why are you worried about people or why is it important to get people that don't vote, to get out there to participate?
Well, I think it's important, first and foremost, because there are a lot of things that affect us that we may not even know that it affects us, but there are people making those decisions for us. So if you get out and vote, you are putting those people in place that are making decisions for you. And those things are going to affect you, quicker and sooner, especially in the local elections. Again, all elections are local. And you say, what does that mean? There are referendums and things being passed, the sales tax, e-splosh, all these things that are on a ballot that are being passed that will affect you immediately. So it's important that you get out, exercise that right to vote. People died for us to have this right, and it is a right and a privilege to go and vote. So we have to exercise that. Our democracy is at stake, so it's important. Don't pass the opportunity by.
I think in order for us to stay engaged and get those who aren't engaged to be engaged, we have to motivate them for the next generation. So when I'm working with political candidates, when I'm working with my local officials or even at the Capitol doing my job, we have to ask those questions like, my niece and nephew, how will this affect Brayley and Bryson? Because I'm already in the game, right? I'm still young, but I'm in the game. And so some of the people that aren't engaged now, they're like, hey, I'm 60, I'm 50, I'm 45. I mean, I'm chilling now. I got kids, I got bills. I'm a union worker, so I got my own kind of thing I have going on. But when we can encourage them to look at the next generation, we can encourage them to say, how would this look for my grandkids? What would this look like for my great-grandkids? What if I elect this person? How would they benefit the community I stay in? That's kind of how we can get them to stay engaged, but not just to stay engaged, but to become engaged. And when we engage people, we don't want them to stop this time. So how can we get them to stop? We got to constantly keep it on their mind with voter education, voter advocacy, and just like I tell everybody, tell 5 people that hopefully they can tell 5 people that hopefully can tell 5 people, because the more we talk about it in our community, the more we can spread it around to push engagement and access.
Totally agree. I would say disengage with the person and engage with issues. So don't look at, party. I'm voting for party. I'm voting for this person. Think of it more of the issues that they're running on. Start looking up the issues. We have a plethora of information available to us just sitting in our pockets. I would stop listening to, outside propaganda and all that. Start doing your own research and vote on what your issues are. I'm not here to tell you what I think your issues should be or what you should care about. I just think that you should engage with the issues that you care about, whatever side that's on.
And last thing I want to do, I want to ask 2 questions, and everybody can kind of answer them with a short answer. Start with you, Devontae. How long did it take you to register, and how long did it take you to vote last time?
Quick. I registered pretty quick, and I vote early. So, because I don't like lines, so register early, vote early.
But on election day, we see all these videos acting like it takes 4 or 5 hours. So you literally saying that you registered and voted, and you spent over an hour, you think, or no?
I spent like not even 5 minutes. When I
Okay.
just voted in the primary, I literally walked in the precinct, walked in, ID, card, machine, boom, out of there.
Okay. Jaden?
It took me probably 3 seconds to register to vote. I was so excited. I was in high school. I was working at the election office, so I was, boom, here you go. I already had it written out on my birthday. I turned it in. But I just voted in the primary, and I was the only person in the room, so it took me 2 seconds. I think everybody was excited to see me walk in.
Carlos?
So again, I'm 48 years old, and I registered when I first got my driver's license. So when you go to get your license here in Georgia, they'll ask if you want to register to vote. I said yes. I registered, and I'm what they call a super voter. I have voted in every election. So in this last primary, early voting, I went and voted. Me and my wife walked in. We were the only people in there. A couple of seconds, we were out.
So that's my experience. I mean, when I go in there, it'd be an overabundance of workers, like 19 people. And when you come in, they'd be excited that you and your wife came in there, and you literally, you'd be like, so you could vote on your lunch break.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. And you could take 20 minutes, and that's all it would take.
And again, I think some jobs used to do that. They would give people time to go vote. So, there's no excuse.
Okay. I just be wondering because you never really see the news talking about that. It seemed like they're trying to scare people like you don't have enough time, or if you have a record, there's police out there that's going to arrest you and stuff like that. So I just wanted to put it on tape and on camera from 4 different perspectives. Was it hard to register to vote? The answer was no. And did anybody spend over 10 minutes to vote?
But you know what? I kind of want to piggyback off what you just said. And this goes back into the inequality of what we have when we have said representatives and said local officials. We just had a bill passed that now doesn't even allow people, if we're standing in those lines, right? Because yes, on election days, the lines are long, which is why we have Super Tuesday, Super Saturday, Super Sunday, so that you can have opportunities to go vote, even when they're not even supposed to be open. But we have bills and laws passed that are saying, hey, if somebody comes out and gives you water or they give you a snack, you have a fine or you can go to jail. Or I think one of my friends, we were out giving out water and snacks, and he gave them a folding chair. It was an older lady. She was in her 80s. Gave her a folding chair out of our trunk, and he went to jail. To be honest, we had to go get him out because they don't want us to go vote. So that's why we're pushing, yes, go early vote, go do what you have to do, because when it is coming down to those lines and coming down to an estimate of an hour or 2 or an hour or 4 hours to even wait in line to make sure that you are getting your opportunity and your right to vote, they're trying to stop us from doing that by pushing bills that make you not want to stay.
So then, to be clear, the lines are when you waited to the last minute.
That's the last minute.
The last minute is the lines. Early vote, early vote, early vote. And if you were incarcerated, my brothers and sisters, if you off papers, you were good to go. You were good to go. Like, off papers, you good.
You got to understand, there are some people that's going to say, I want to go on election day.
That's true.
There are some people that feel that way because we have a lot of conspiracy theorists out there. They're going to say, if I go early, my vote's not going to count. I'm going to wait till election day. I mean, that's just real.
Right.
There are some people out there that feel that way.
It's like some people want to pay in cash.
Absolutely.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is how we push it for the young people. We say early voting is VIP for free. A day of voting is general admission for free, but you get the same opportunities and advances as early voting. That's how you gotta break it down.
I like that.
VIP in general, what you want to be.
All right, cool. So last thing, you guys, anybody here, if they want to put their social media handles where people can follow you or contact or get more information, ours is at Patchwerk Studios on Instagram and Facebook.
Everything, all Carlos Cersei on Facebook, Instagram, X.
All social media platforms at the JL Williams.
X, formerly Twitter. All right, it
There
is
you go.
connected.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah.
hit. I was like, X. Devontae Jennings, DAVANTE JENNINGS on Instagram, and Devontae Jennings ATL on X. Yeah, go ahead. Facebook me too, please. Facebook me.
Yep.
Make
and
my
this,
auntie proud.
And this event was put on in conjunction with the Cobb County Democracy Center. So if you need some more information on voter registration, information about the candidates and bills, and to stay current, do a search for the Democracy Center of Cobb County.
Shout out Miss Brown.
Yep, we appreciate you guys' attention. We'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Absolutely. Peace.